Step 3 from there is all about your health, because while it's important to do the things we love, to chase our dreams, if you don't have your health, your mental health, your physical health, then what's going after your dreams? You can't do anything. I think our health is crucial, and our health is so important that we really cannot help others unless we're helping ourselves. And
Sean, thanks mate for jumping on the podcast. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, boys, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a really, really cool chat, diving into obviously everything that you're doing within the run space, but the personal development space and your speaking stuff. So I think it's going to be a really profound chat. What's training like at the moment? What are you training for? What's training like? Give an insight into the kilometres you're plotting up.
Training's going well. A bit flat with the coronavirus, as everyone is at the moment, and I was preparing to run across Bali. So last year I raced in an 84k run called the Bali Hope Ultra Marathon, which helps, there's 20 runners come together from all over the world, and we raise money for the Bali Children Foundation to help put kids through school. So it's a run with a greater purpose, but me being that self-competitive person as well, I made it a race last year. There's other people racing within that charity run, and wanted to go back there and do that again this year. So that's now been postponed. That was May, and now it's going to be September or October, but thrilled to be heading back to Bali. Last year we raised enough money, 165 grand over the 20 runners, to put 460 kids through school for 6 years. So their entire primary schooling. So yeah, very, very special.
Yeah, awesome. And so what is the training like at the moment? How many Ks are you clocking up?
At the moment it's not too bad. It's probably between 60 and 80, I think, a week. My coach has a different sort of approach, and we'll get into it, but some of the things that I've done with running, even in the lead up to those, it's been a smaller kilometre, like smaller volume, but higher intensity. So do a lot of hill sprints. My coach is Damien's coach, who you chatted to yesterday. Yeah. So Damo and I have become great friends, and I got him onto my coach because of the way he's helped me, and then he helped Damo just get his Run for Joey completed as well, which was really special. So yeah, for me it's about 60 to 80 Ks a week at the moment, but training at a lot of intensity, 2 to 3 leg weight sessions a week, along with hill sprints and stuff like that.
Man, he must be doing something right, because I know he is clocking up some serious Ks, and he did a massive run recently as well. And you took on and I want you to touch on it. I want to dive into it a little bit deeper, a little bit further on, but 50 in 50. Give us a little wrap up with that.
Yeah, so from January 4 until Feb 22nd, 2019, so last year I completed 50 marathons in 50 days, which is 2,110 kilometres. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's when you have a strong enough reason why, that, as Damo would have touched on, like, you can do anything. And I truly mean that. It really is mind over body, and I think there was so many reasons to keep pushing every single day, and that's why I was able to complete it. And it's not just the 50 marathons, as I said, going to Bali and then another endurance event last year. Everything that I do is related to either charity or a bigger purpose, because if you're going to put your body in those uncomfortable positions, your mind, you need to be able to keep going and think about all those reasons why, and it's often having those driving forces that helps you get it done. So the 50 marathons in 50 days, unfortunately in 2016 one of my friends and teammates passed away. So I used to be a footballer, playing local league EFL for the Vermont Eagles from when I was 6 till I was 19. But yeah, one of my mates at 18, he just went to bed and didn't wake up, and they still don't know why, but that then changed my life entirely, which we'll go into the personal development sort of stuff that happened from that. But that was really the main reason behind the 50 marathons in 50 days.
Very powerful. And what are you training for now? Besides the Hope Run, you got a big event coming up next year?
Yeah. So next year I'm planning on running around Australia. So you'll see here I've got this Run for Wishes hat. So I've partnered with Make-A-Wish Australia. Super excited for it. It's going to be a 14,000 kilometre run, which I hope to complete in between 8 and 9 months. So that's around 60 Ks a day, which every single day, yeah. And I know to a lot of people sounds insane, mental, not possible, all of these things. But again, coming back to that why, it's amazing what you can achieve. And I think when you set off for a feat like this, the support that you receive as well helps you be able to do it, because there's absolutely no way that you can do it on your own. And you know, I was blessed through the 50 marathons to have physios and nutritionists and coach and all these people supporting me, and it'll be much the same with the Run Around Australia next year, but even more so. I think last year when I explained the 50 marathons, I was doing a lot myself still. So I live at home, but my mum often works away. So, you know, I was just going out, grocery shopping, all the cooking, like I had to eat so much. And, you know, all the social media, there was still a fair bit to do outside of just recovering to go again the next day. I wasn't working at that time, but there was a lot to do. And I think next year with the Run Around Australia, yes, it's going to be 60 Ks, but I'll have a support crew with me all the time, helping cook, clean, social media, all those things.
I can imagine the difference it'll make, man. Like your sole focus is, okay, I know I need to hit this number today, tomorrow, the next day, and that's your full focus. And diving within yourself to get, you know, to that target each and every day. Mm-hmm. It's incredible, man. Where
do you get the funding to be able to take everyone on? Like, obviously your physio and whatnot are traveling with you for the 8 to 9 months.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a really hard one. With that, I've just basically written a list of every physio / trainer / massage person that I know and asked them to volunteer 2 weeks, and almost all of them have said yes. So we're in the process of mapping out the route now, where we're going to run. I know roughly where it'll be, but the schedule where I'll be at what time of the year, so I can work that in with people. And a big part of what I'm doing at the moment is I'm in the phase of trying to get sponsorship for the run next year. So helping fund that food, fuel. I've got my mate, one of my best mates is coming on board for the 8 months. So he's the project manager. Of course, being 8 months of his time, well, he's going to be paid for his time, but being the great friend that he is, he's willing to do that for $80 a day for 20 grand, because you know, he knows how much it's going to help me. He knows what this run means to me and making this difference is going to mean. And for him to be able to support me, and I know him so well, it's just going to make it such a special journey.
And you're partnered with ASICS, so they'll be supporting.
Yeah, so ASICS have been amazing to me. I think last year, have you guys heard of a guy, Benny Seymour? He's friends with Paps. Fantastic bloke, like amazing. And Benny Seymour I met in Bali last year. So he and I got on really well. And Benny was reached out to by a company called Lampoon, who basically manage athletes. And so they look after the social media for athletes with ASICS. And so they reached out to him, said ASICS want to basically get you on board, send you some stuff. Would you be interested? And I think he said, yeah, I'll give it a go. But the guy that won the race in Bali last year, he loves ASICS. He also ran 50 marathons for his mate. You'll see in his photos, he was wearing ASICS the whole time. Like, would you consider that? And he just sent my profile, then sent me a message saying, hey, I've just done this, like, see what happens, let me know if anything happens. 2 days later, I got a call from ASICS. So the very special guy, Benny. And now ASICS have just recently invited me to be a part of the SMSB crew, which means sound mind, sound body. So basically the ASICS ethos. So what they believe in is that they want people to have a sound mind and a sound body is a healthier and happier life. So that's everything that I stand for and everything that I do in my life. And to be able to connect with them, and what this group is there's 13 of us. They've handpicked from all over Australia that have impacted their community. So we're not all runners. There's a couple of other ultra runners. There's Ironman athletes. There's yoga teachers, a breakdancer, parkour, a wheelchair athlete. Just people that have made their community more active and healthier and happier along the way. So really special to be a part of that.
It is, man. It's a brand that I used to wear when I was playing rugby when I was younger. So it's pretty cool and pretty prestigious, to be honest. I want to, if you can, dive back a little bit. And it wouldn't have been too many years ago because you're only 22 now. But this takes back to school life, and you seem like you did really well through university. And want to see how you came into the mindset that you have now. So what was school life for you like?
Yeah, so grew up in this small community of Vermont, which I'm still in. In the next couple of years, my plans to move to the Gold Coast. Just love the lifestyle up there. So Vermont's been great though, and a special part of my life. Primary school there, high school there, footy, cricket, everything you can imagine within that community. For me, school I really enjoyed. I wanted to go on to be a high school PE and outdoor ed teacher. That was always the plan. And was obsessed with school. Like, it was really weird. I'm not normal, I think, in many ways. Obviously not all parts of school, there were subjects I didn't like, but I just loved the environment of being around your mates all day, and I guess that growth and development. And that's why at the young age I thought school was, the be all end all. But as I got older, I started to develop other avenues and interests, and and then head a different way to teaching. But school for me was a really enjoyable time, some great mates, some great memories. Definitely some challenges along the way as well, not so much within school, but teenage years, which I'm sure we'll cover.
Yeah.
And what were those issues going through those teenage years? Yeah,
so for me, I think I felt a lot of the time, which I had that victim mentality. So I've had it really hard growing up. A much better relationship now with my dad, but my dad's struggled with alcoholism his whole life. So for me, that was a really, really hard thing to grow up with, because I knew that he loved me, loved my brothers, loved all of us, but that's just his journey that he's on, and he's had a lot of pain within his life. And as I've got older and heard more stories and some of the things that he's had to go through, it's understanding from a different perspective. And I think when you get to that point in your life where you can just love someone with no judgment, it's really special. And that's where I'm at now. But I struggled through teenage years of comparing, as many kids do. Why my mates like this? Why do they have amazing families, fathers that are not like that? And my dad is the most amazing person sober, but it's just like anything. Sometimes it gets really hard, and when you have an addiction, it's addiction. So I love him for the person that he is, and I couldn't be the person that I am today without the way he's been as well, because that was always my mindset. I found it really hard growing up, and was always looking outside to other people and jealous and comparing. And then as I grew older, I started to realize that actually this is a gift, and I love my dad so much, and he's taught me one side, and now I want to be the healthiest and most inspirational person that I can to others. Was it scary growing up? Was it more something you were embarrassed about? Yeah, probably more so embarrassed. I found it hard. I don't know. I think when you're at a young age, you start to think, are other people thinking this is going to be me? That was what was going through my head. I don't know why, but being a young kid, I thought, well, maybe if he's my dad, people think I'm going to be the same. And I found it really hard in the footy environment. And this is something I don't normally share with a lot of people, but I think on a podcast that's about vulnerability and opening up and bridging the gap, it's really important to show that, because this is the real me, and the stuff that I'm doing today couldn't have been possible without that journey through teenage years. 100%. It comes back to the experiences, and it's been the trend across our trip down in Melbourne. It's been the trend across everyone, is through the experiences they've been able to develop the mindset that you have, and to be able to have that perspective shift and look at it, it's actually somewhat a blessing that it's happened, and you've been able to learn so much from it. Yeah.
You touched on the footy environment there, and I want to dive in a little bit. When you were in that environment, going to training, going to games, with stuff that you had going on at home, were you open with the boys, or were you chucking on a mask and sort of playing everything cool?
My best mates definitely knew, but no, not the whole team. And I think that's something, as I got older, I probably shared a lot more of. But yeah, definitely a mask in the early years. But footy was always my life. I think being active has been a huge part of my life, but just getting out there and being fully present in that moment, playing footy, it was just that time to be with my mates and switch off and love every second. So yeah, I think that a bit of both to answer that question. I think as I was younger, more so the mask, but as I grew older and I changed and I grew and I developed, and I think a lot of that from my mate, yeah, when he passed away, that just changed everything, changed my perspective, and then from there, my mum recognised that I was not doing so well. I was struggling. I was lost in my own life, and she took me to America to see Tony Robbins, who.
So it was overseas.
I was overseas, so yeah, it was even more special. But Unleash the Power Within, the 4-day event. If anyone is listening to this, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're probably on that growth mindset path anyway. But like, check him out. If you haven't been to his event, absolutely go. It is a life changer. And what it did for me is it took me out of that feeling of loss, that victim mentality, all of these things that I was in, that mindset that I was in, to be able to be in a position where I could view my upbringing as a gift, and I could view the strength within vulnerability. So I came back from his seminar in March 2017, was lucky enough to, and fortunate enough to be the captain of our under-19s team. And it was with that opportunity that I was able to grow and share a lot more and be more vulnerable with the boys. And we went all the way and won the grand final, and it was a special year.
With the Tony Robbins event, what were the limiting beliefs that you had? Because I've experienced UPW, and thinking about even going back now, talking about it, just having those goosebumps about how like the energy through the roof there is incredible. Yeah. Contagious, very contagious. But what were the limiting beliefs that you had going into that? Because I know that that's a lot of his transformation work, is removing those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I think he spends a lot of time obviously on that and on your 3 major fears. So fear that you're not enough, fear of failure, and fear that you're not loved. And I think I'd struggled with that because growing up, maybe I viewed, Dad's struggle as that he doesn't love us, but that obviously wasn't the case. And I think as I grew through those 4 days at UPW, I started to get rid of those beliefs, and a big one was I'm not good enough, which most people, or not most people, but a lot of people experience in their lives. And it was funny how my mindset shifted, because it's day 1 of his seminar. I don't know if you remember, but he shares a story of a man named Stu Middleman who ran from Los Angeles to New York, or the other way around, across America. And he did it in 56 days. So he ran 85 Ks a day for 56 days. So a double marathon. And I remember, as I was a footballer at the time, the furthest I'd ever ran at the time I went to his event was 15 Ks. I was just shaking my head, thinking this guy is, a genetic freak. That's amazing. I was in awe of what he achieved, but I didn't think it was possible. And it's amazing how over the 4 days I was able to destroy those limiting beliefs. And while I wasn't a runner straight away and I came back to play football, I was always thinking about this guy, Stu Middleman, and what he achieved. And then that's helped me in the journey to be able to achieve the 50 marathons and everything that I'm doing, and believe that I can run around Australia next year as well. So I think the biggest limiting belief that I got out of that was, that I am good enough. And, if I put in the work and believe and get the right support around me, then we can do anything. And it just comes down to having the strong enough reasons why.
And putting yourself in a state, as Tony always talks about, everyone that goes to UPW and anyone that experiences it, you'll walk across some fire on the first day, and you'll realise you obviously did the fire walk as well, and you'll realise the importance of putting yourself in that powerful state, which is huge. So from there, from UPW, just what age were you at when you came around that time?
I was 19 when I did UPW.
Okay, and that was the back end of schooling?
Yeah, so I finished school 2015. Okay. 2016, I started at ACU, just a uni near here, studying a Bachelor of Physical Activity and Health Science, because that was then a 3-year course to then do a 2-year Masters of Teaching to be a PE and outdoor ed teacher. But I wanted to go down that path because it's slightly different. It gives me more exercise science subjects, so I could be a personal trainer at the end of the 3 years as well. So most people do a Cert 3 and 4 to become a PT within a 1-year course, but this was giving me outdoor education skills. It was also giving me teaching skills. It was giving me personal training or exercise science. And it was just what I started at in 2016. And that's what I wanted to do. And I was super clear on that. And then as I touched on, my mate passed away in the middle of the year, and it just changed my life. It changed how I live my life, it changed how my teammates live my life. And basically what happened was we played footy. There's 2 teams in the under-19s, so we played our game. At the end of the game, we called the coach, speak to the other team, and the coach told us news that we could never ever imagine, that one of the boys didn't turn up, and he found out from his dad that he'd passed away in his sleep. He was healthy, 18, and just didn't wake up. So yeah, it's you can't fathom it, and like I think, there is no explanation, and so many people have really struggled. Of course, I've struggled since his passing, and but it's trying to view it in a different mentality and honor him and love him, but how can we grow from this, and what did I learn from this? And the biggest thing that I learned is that we are not promised tomorrow, and we could be the healthiest person in the world. And I've heard of runners just running in the middle of their run and bang, something happens, like they're super fit, but a signal in their brain shuts down their heart, they die. And it's scary, and it can happen to anyone. And I think what happened to him just absolutely changed my life, and as I said, so many of my teammates. And from there I knew that, hang on, this being a teacher, while that's enjoyable, it's not what I need to do. It's not what I want to do. It's not the most fulfilling thing to me. And so it was a bit weird, because that was in the middle of 2016. I was still in my uni degree. I'd committed to that, and I thought, I'll see out this year, but I was struggling. I felt lost, and that's what I said. Mum took me to America at the start of 2017 because she'd heard of this guy, Tony, and his work, and how he'd helped people get out of that, those feelings. And I can't thank Mum enough for that, because that was such a transformational event in so many ways, that I still came back. I still finished my degree because I knew it was going to give me personal training, and I'd made incredible friendships. And despite it being mostly about outdoor ed and exercise science, they actually still did a bit in personal development, because as a teacher, you have to know some of that. And from then on, I thought, all right, I'm going to complete my degree. But it was in 2018 when I knew what I wanted to do. So
it really seemed like that event was the game changer and catalyst for you. Yeah. When you came back, what sort of practices were you implementing to keep yourself on a moving forward journey of personal development?
Yeah, so for me, I think even just little things like gratitude, that he talks about so much, and getting into peak state, and I think, but just gratitude is the biggest one. And right now I write a gratitude journal every day. Even if it's 3 to 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be long, but it just puts you in a much better mindset, and you in a better position to then be able to help others. And I think when you can come from a position of gratitude, then you start to notice the small things that otherwise you wouldn't. And I think, especially if you can do a reflection at the end of the day, you might have had a challenging day and some hard things happen throughout that day, but you realize, that little things, maybe it was that person that you saw on the street that you hadn't seen for ages, and you just gave them a wave and a smile, or someone complimented you throughout the day, or you complimented someone else, and just these little things. And that's been a game changer for me, because as I said before, his event was that victim mentality to going to one of growth, one of gratitude, one of completely different.
And what was that beforehand? Like, what were the darkest times that you experienced, and what were those thoughts to now? Obviously we've touched on your amazing transformation now, but how bad did it get within your thoughts?
Look, I think for me, I've never truly suffered depression or in that mental health space, but I think just emotional, like I'd struggled with almost emotional abuse, or I don't know, I was always looking for an escape, which was why I'd be going to be active or play footy or, you know, spend a lot of time with my mates. And I think growing from that, that event just changed everything. But yeah, I think I just grew up with a completely different mentality, one that was, why is this happening to me? And being able to understand that actually, you know, that is a gift, and everything that I do today is because of that upbringing. If I had, you know, an upbringing where I was given everything on a silver platter, I wouldn't be the person that I am.
So you come back from Tony Robbins. Where did that shoot you, and where has that led you to what you do now? You know, public speaker, running.
Yeah.
What were the steps that you implemented to take big action? Because nothing is going to be achieved if you don't take action. And Tony talked about the formula of success over there and putting yourself in peak state, taking big action. You know, if we take, you know, he talks about taking. Approaching something in a small state, or just, you know, slouching down, or not necessarily enthusiastic, which then leads to the way that you approach your action, which then leads to the result. Yeah. You obviously took big action. Yeah, what was that?
Action, as he says. Well, I think through 2017, after his event, I became very clear that I didn't want to play footy anymore, which was really hard because I was the captain. And so imagine that you've got to front up with all this emotion, drive, passion for your teammates, but deep down you don't want to be out there. Yeah. That was hard. And, you know, I think it just happened because throughout that year, I don't know entirely, like I think there's lots of reasons why I wanted to stop playing football. When my teammate passed away in 2016, that shifted that perspective, but I still played football after coming back from Tony Robbins because that was everything I'd ever done. It was all I knew from when I was 6 till I was 19. Throughout that year, we were undefeated, and I was the captain, and I was playing pretty well, and the team was obviously playing well, and it just wasn't making sense, but I knew that I didn't want to be out there, and I also knew from then on, if I'm not loving my footy now, then I need to move on, because how can you be at this, you know, what many people would say is this epitome, or like the success that you're having is the top, and not be loving it? So it was a challenging year because I had to go out and lead these boys when I knew that I was going to head on to different things. So by July, I made the decision that I'll run in the Melbourne Marathon in October and see what happens. I'd only run 15 Ks by around July, and then I remember in August we had a bye, and I went out for a 25K run, and our coach is telling us to have the week off and freshen up, and he's thinking, what the hell are you doing? But he didn't know what I had planned. Yeah. And you know, it was really funny, but so
it was 25Ks the furthest you had gone. Yeah. Leading into it?
Oh, so then by September 23, which was our grand final, which we won, which was special. 3 weeks later was the Melbourne Marathon. I remember it was October 15, and the furthest I'd run was 25Ks just that, you know, month before. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no plan. I didn't, you know, didn't research it, didn't do anything. And I then did one 32K run a couple of weeks out and thought, okay, I feel all right here. But I knew nothing about nutrition or anything. And it was funny because, you know, I didn't have that true reason why to be running a marathon at that time, only that I wasn't loving my footy. Let's try something else. You know, in that moment, I wasn't thinking about my mate in that position. Later on, I've developed a love for running for change, running for a bigger purpose, and my mate is such a huge part of that. But that first marathon was just about, maybe this is a new journey for me. Maybe this is that new direction, that new lifestyle. And
I could imagine that would have been probably the hardest run then, because you didn't have that driving force. But
yeah, in many ways. And I think it was funny, my ex-girlfriend, I remember her dad was like, you know, what are you doing? You're so underprepared. I've done one marathon. I did 3 hours 52 and it broke me, and I trained for months. You've just played footy. You're not going to be able to do this. And I said, all right, I'm going to beat your time. I'm going to do 3 hours 30. ended up running the marathon in 3 hours 28 minutes. So
Wow. So you can sit a little bit, set a time.
yeah, I mean, just the way that he said that, and like it was a joke, and but that was my own little challenge, and I think I fed off that, and you know, that was, I guess in many ways, that was my why through that marathon, but developing a bigger why is what's helped me be able to achieve a lot more than that. So from the end of that marathon, I was broken. I loved the experience, but I thought, if I'm going to keep doing this, then maybe I need to change it. Maybe I need to think about running further and slower, like that guy Stu Middleman that I remembered at Tony Robbins' seminar. So I did a bit more research into what he achieved, and then I thought to myself, well, if he ran across America, I wonder if anyone's run across Australia or around Australia. And then I found out about an old vegan couple in their 60s who in 2013 ran 366 marathons in 366 days around Australia. So there was the wife 64, the husband 68. And they did that on a vegan diet, raw vegan, so literally nothing cooked. I can't think of anything worse. Like literally they'd run and eat a salad at the end for recovery or fruit. So it's amazing what they achieved, but that was the turning point. It was when I was doing, you know, my, looking at my laptop and just doing my research and thought, wow, these guys achieved something like this. And above my desk is a plaque that I won. So in 2016, when my mate passed away, the club made an award called the Mo, which his last name. Basically, they wanted to award that to a player who lived his values of hard work, sacrifice, mateship, a team first approach. And to be able to win that award out of 50 players was incredibly special. And for me, it was just, I think, so many things. It was the initial passing of him, and then it was the Tony Robbins event, and then it was seeing this old vegan couple prove they could do something around Australia, and then this moment where just above my laptop I noticed the plaque that I won, and I thought, oh my God, that's it. Something clicked in my mind, and I was like, I've got it. I'm going to run around Australia in honour of my mates. So I think it's amazing how it all naturally unfolded with seeing that old couple, seeing the plaque, and then wanting to do something in honour of my mate and make a big difference for charity.
We hear a lot about why, and you obviously have a very, very strong why. Where do you look? Where do you start?
Yeah.
How do you start to look for your why?
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I think, and this is something I talk about in schools, is, you know, have you ever felt, I say to the kids, that you've truly wanted something and you've had all these reasons why you've wanted to achieve it, but you didn't know how. You didn't know who to go to or how to get the support. And this is probably a great time to bring it in, but I've actually developed a How to Chase Your Dreams Now formula, which I talk about and share with the kids in school. So it's basically an action plan, something that they can take away to turn what they want within their heart, turn their dreams into goals, and then their goals into massive success. So the reason this came about is because when I completed my 50 marathons, I was talking to a speaker, and he said, well, there must have been a process that you went through to achieve that. Yes, you had these reasons why, but then what did you do? And then what did you do after that? So I think, and as Tony Robbins talks about in his seminar, it's model someone who's achieved something that you want to achieve, and that's such a huge part. And be brave to ask questions. Like, put yourself out there. If you believe in what you're doing, what you're about, and you have good intentions and why you're going to do it, then more often than not, people want to help you. And that's something that I've learned, that, you know, obviously people that have made it to a certain level started somewhere, and they are willing to help people who are, you know, at the beginning of their journey as well. So I took a big step and reached out to a lady called Samantha Gash, who, I don't know if you guys watch Survivor.
I've heard of her. Dylan's spoken about her a lot.
Has he? He did. Yeah, okay. So Samantha is a great friend of mine, and what she's accomplished is unbelievable. She, at 25, became the first woman to complete the 4 Desert Grand Slam, which is basically multi-stage or multi-day ultra marathons. So a 250k ultra marathon over 7 days on the hottest, driest, windiest and coldest deserts on Earth. So Antarctica, Sahara, and the rest. So insane. And the biggest one for me, the reason I reached out to her is I knew that she ran 77 marathons in 77 days across India. She raised 200 grand for World Vision. She had an enormous impact, but she actually completed a goal of that magnitude in 40+ degree heat of India and the humidity of India. And I thought, if I'm going to go anywhere to learn how to run 50 marathons in 50 days, then I need to go to her. Yeah. Because you've got to model from, you've got to go after the best and be brave enough to put yourself out there. So I messaged her and said, hey, Samantha. And the way it happened was, I think, lucky in many ways as well, because at the time, so this was July 2018, I knew that at the end of 2017, start of 2018, I knew that was when I knew that I wanted to run around Australia. So even though that's 3 years away, I said, at that time, I said, I'm going to run around Australia in 2021, because I knew that it was going to take a lot to be able to achieve that. So that was the focus from then. And then I said, yep, that's the plan. So 2018, no footy, I'm just going to focus on running. As I started to go through 2018, I thought, well, how am I going to be able to run around Australia without doing something first? In order to be able to get the support that I need, the funding that I need, the support crew, I need credibility. And so I'm going to run 50 marathons in 50 days. And the reason that came about is when I did the research about the vegan couple, that's exactly what they did. And so I thought, okay, I can do this. I've just got to figure out how. This girl ran 77 marathons in 77 days. I'll reach out to her. And so it happened to be that she was the ambassador for the Bali Hope Run in May 2019. So in July 2018, I was accepted for the Bali Hope Run 10 months later. And so she was the ambassador, and I thought, well, I've got to reach out to her. I've got to say, look, I can't wait to meet you in Bali, but I would also love to get some advice. At the start of next year, before Bali, I'm going to be running 50 marathons in 50 days, and I would love to have any tips, any information that you have. And she said, yeah, hey mate, sounds great, where do you live? And it turns out that I live 20 minutes from her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in the Dandenong Ranges and I'm in Vermont, so it was crazy. And we said we'll catch up for coffee, and it ended up being a 2-hour conversation where she believed in my message. She believed in everything that I was about, why I was doing it. And she said, look, I have no doubt that you can do this because you have the right intentions and you have those reasons why, but you need a coach. You need someone that's going to guide you with a process to be able to be at the point to achieve it. And so then she called Jace, who became my coach, Jace from V&B Athletic, shared my story. Me and Jace chatted on the phone. He sponsored me as an athlete, and since then I haven't had to pay Jace. He's been looking after me as a coach, and he truly believes in everything that I'm doing. And yeah, it's super special how it started with putting myself out there, because that conversation with Samantha then went on to Jace. Jace ended up getting me a nutritionist who's helped sponsor me and support me as well. She's going to be supporting me for the Run Around Australia next year. So it's amazing how things can start to roll as well when you are on the right path, when you're doing something that you truly believe in, you're doing it for the right reasons, and your heart's, you're in alignment with what you're meant to be doing. So yeah, that was incredible. And I remember there was one thing that happened as well from that coffee with Samantha. I got up and I ran over, I wanted to pay because, we had a big brekkie, her husband was there as well. And I thought, this girl's just giving me 2 hours of her time. She's a global speaker. She's a runner. She's done that for me. I want to pay. And she's like, what are you doing? Step back. She's like, if you achieve this 50 marathons in 50 days, and then you achieve this Run Around Australia, there's going to be a young boy or girl that's going to reach out to you in the future. All I ask is that you pay it forward. You take them out for their 2-hour coffee. You buy theirs.
I love that. Pay it forward.
Yeah, and wow.
Man, I'm really, really engaged. I'm really loving this because there's so much in it. It just brings flashbacks for Tony Robbins and my experience. Yeah. But you have moved so fast since that one experience. Yeah. Since that experience, you've taken on board what he said. You've taken big action. You've put yourself out there. or you've made the choice of quitting football because you knew in your heart that wasn't there. You've then followed the journey of wanting to run. You've taken big action by reaching out to someone. You've gained that inspiration, that knowledge, and now you're doing what you're doing. Like, and it's happened within a short window.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, after completing the 50 marathons, I was talking to another speaker and he said, look, while I think it's amazing what you've done, so last year was able to speak to 4 different schools and 2 businesses and share my story and share my message, Chase Your Dreams Now. And while it might have empowered them and given them some motivation in the moment, he said there's nothing that can truly last for them. It's nothing that they can take away. What did you do to be able to achieve the 50 marathons? Think about it. So we went back to everything, every single step. And it was firstly finding your why, writing down all of those reasons why that you want that goal. From there, sharing it with other people, being brave enough to put yourself out there, because and there's stats behind that that says when you share your goal with just one friend, you're 78% more likely to achieve it. So think about as well how that's going to multiply if you tell a lot of people, because then they're going to help hold you accountable. They're going to support you. All of these things, these coaches, Samantha, my nutritionist, that couldn't have happened if I didn't share it. So that's step 1. Step 2 is find a coach, find a mentor, and find someone that you can trust, someone that has done that. And don't just look for anyone. Make sure you find that right coach that is friendly, is going to be there to help you whenever you need. And that's the best thing about Samantha. Like, I cherish her friendship so much because she is a super busy lady and doing unbelievable things. And yet anytime I need her, if I call, she'll call me back within that 24 hours. She's there for me. We'll catch up for a run. She's the perfect mentor. So it's step 2 is find your mentor, find that coach, find whatever it is that you want to achieve, find someone who's done it, because it's rare in these days that you want to achieve something that no one's ever done before. And so find someone that's done that and reach out to them, because they will want to help you, I've found. So that's the first 2 steps. And then step 3 from there is all about your health, because while it's important to do the things we love, to chase our dreams, if you don't have your health, your mental health, your physical health, then what's going after your dreams? You can't do anything. I think our health is crucial, and our health is so important that we really cannot help others unless we're helping ourselves. And that's something that I've had to find out, and that was a big part of why I changed charity. Once I get through these next couple of steps, I'll do a quick recap and explain how it all works, because I really believe this is a formula that can help people turn what it is that they truly want within their heart to actually completing it, like I've been able to do with the 50 marathons. And this is the exact thing that I'm going to be doing next year, going to achieve the Run Around Australia. So, yeah.
It's just phenomenal, man. Seriously. And everything, it's coming back to that why. Why? Yeah, and I can imagine when you're out running, man, and you're in the hurt locker, you're able to do these things that other people can do, definitely, but you've got that why there and that mindset that's driving you. And like on those 50 marathons, I'm presuming those last 10 would have been agonizing. Some of them would have been brutal, man.
No, surprisingly, it's really weird. My coach is unbelievable, and I don't just say this to support him back, but honestly, the way that he programs it, for Damo to get through his 290k run, for me to be able to do the 50 marathons, it was never easy, obviously, but the first 25 marathons were so much harder than the last 25. My body just adapted so well to what I was doing. It was on autopilot. It was something crazy. It was like from marathon 41 to 45 or something. I'd have to look it up. It was between 5 to 10 minutes every day. So as in, I think 4 hours 10 to 4 hours 15 or 4 hours 20 absolute max. And it was almost like I was running the exact same splits every day. I didn't have to look at my watch. I was just talking to people and cruising along. Thinking about it like that and breaking it down into this is a jog for a bigger purpose is what allows you to back it up. Because if you're going out as hard as you can to run a marathon, you're not going to be able to do 50 in a row. Yeah. So I had to step away from that and go, no, this isn't about running fast. This is about community. This is about bringing people together in honor of my mate. And it was special what happened. We had 200 people there on day 50 running with me by my side. Wow. at the Vermont Footy Club where I played with him. I said to them, so I put out there, if you want to run a full marathon with me, absolutely, you can do that. But day 49 is your last day to do that, because day 50, I want to run the first half with everyone. The last half, I want to run with just his best mates and his brother. And so for me, that was a way to just talk to a small group, connect, talk about why we've done that and what it was all for and how much it meant to me and to them. And it also gave other people the opportunity to go home, shower, get ready, because we had a big event, a big fundraiser, which we ran into. So myself and his best mates and his brother, 10 of us ran in, and a night we'll never forget.
Yeah, that's really powerful, mate. It's really great insight into the deep reasons, intrinsic reasons why he did it. Run for Wishes, where did that come about? We spoke about off air, following your heart, and you can't help others until you help yourself. Yeah. What was that transition like, changing between?
So to bring up Run for Wishes, I have to finish this formula, which I know is a bit lengthy, but honestly, this is it. So step number 4 after your health was all about wholeheartedly committing to the plan. So if you've got a coach or a mentor giving you advice, then back him in. I think 2 months before it, I called my coach. I was freaking out. I was like, why am I doing hill sprints when I'm going to be jogging every day? It wasn't making sense. And he just said, mate, trust me. And the funny thing was, even after that call, I still hadn't trusted him and called Samantha. And she said, look, if Jace is giving you something, back him in. And then it was after that reassurance that I was able to do that. So step 4 being wholeheartedly commit to the plan, trust the process, trust the guidance from other people around you, and also be patient, because, I think a lot of the time we talk about, if you're creating great habits and doing things every single day, if you're faithful with the small, the big will come. And I think the way that's happened with Jace, he just said, mate, back me in. Samantha said, back him in. And that was step 4. And step 5 is all about monitoring your progress, and if things aren't working, then pivot and making change. So to now talk about Run for Wishes, this exact formula comes into play. So step number 5 being about monitoring your process, your progress, and if things aren't working out, pivoting and making changes. Well, I had to do that because step 4, I wasn't wholeheartedly committing to the plan anymore. This plan to run around Australia and support the Compassionate Friends charity, I found myself not doing that because step 3, I didn't have my health. I actually found that I was putting out there and a great message into schools and telling others to chase their dreams now, because we're not promised tomorrow. Yet I thought I was being hypocritical to myself, because my dream wasn't necessarily that charity. I think we'd raised a tremendous amount of money, $30,000, and incredible support for this charity. They got a lot more members, and it was an amazing time with them. And I have nothing but respect for this charity. But at the same time, I felt like, how can I be telling others to do this, to chase their dreams, if I'm not wholeheartedly chasing mine? So that was how I was feeling. And I think when your health's not there, your body sends you signals, you're under a lot of stress, and I was really struggling, and it was affecting my sessions, it was affecting everything that I was doing. And I was talking to my coach and mentors. I went back to step 2, to Jace, to Samantha, and I said, this is how I'm feeling, and they said, well, mate, why'd you want to do this in the first place? What was this all for? So then I went back to step 1, and I realized that the most important thing to me in all of this was honor my mate and to make a real difference. Now I thought that I'd made the difference that I needed to with the Compassionate Friends. I can still honor my mate, and I can actually make a bigger difference by shifting to Make-A-Wish Foundation, to Make-A-Wish Australia, and help. They're a massive organisation that can truly make a huge difference, and nothing's going to give me more fulfillment than that charity. Because if my whole message, the biggest thing that I learned is chase your dreams now, we're not promised tomorrow, then this charity literally helps kids who are even less likely to be promised tomorrow with critical illness to achieve their wishes. Their wish might be to go to Canada and see the snow for the first time, and make a wish, get the funds together, and they'll pay for that entire family to go over and have that experience. Or it might be as little as get a puppy, or even run with their heroes, the Richmond Footy Club, or whatever it may be. But I thought about my life and everything that I want to do. There's nothing that's going to give me more fulfillment than that. So that's the shift that I had to make, and I know that my teammate is such a huge part of this. I'll still think about him when I'm running. I'll still share the message. And I even said to Make-A-Wish, I want to support you because I want to help kids. That the biggest lesson that I learned is chase your dreams now. But that's because my mate passed away and I started chasing my dreams. So when I'm chasing mine, I want to help others chase theirs.
You kept coming back to your heart there, and the thing I have been trying to get out is listen to your heart. You listen to your heart.
Yeah.
And you have to trust that voice of your heart.
And, you know, it comes with challenges, because I think when you set out and you say publicly that you want to run around Australia in 2021, you know, on national media and things like that, then to shift away from that, that's a big deal. But what's more important is following your heart, because I think for so many people, they might judge you for that, but they don't necessarily understand that the real reasons. And what I've learned through this whole journey in separating from Jog for Joe to becoming Run for Wishes is you're never going to be able to please everyone. So as long as you're doing what's most important to you, you believe you're helping others, you're making a difference, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. And I truly feel that this is more in line with what I'm meant to be doing. This is, as I keep coming back to my heart, as you said, this is so fulfilling for me, and the journey that I'm on now is so rewarding, so special. And not to say that Jog for Joey and the Compassionate Friends wasn't as well, but the reason I chose the Compassionate Friends in the first place is when I went to his parents, I said, you know, I want to run around Australia in honour of him, and they said, oh, would you be willing to support the Compassionate Friends charity, because they've really helped us and grieving families. So I have no regret in what I did. I think it's amazing the way it's happened. I would prefer it's been this way and then transformed because of the lessons that it's taught me, than to be Make-A-Wish from the start. And you know, they're a much smaller charity, the Compassionate Friends, and to be able to make a difference to a charity that needs it is incredibly fulfilling as well.
I want to go through the blueprint, the formula, just quickly. I like break down the steps very, very quickly. Step 1 to step 5. So in order, everyone that's listening can implement this straight off from listening to this podcast.
Yeah, so think of step 1 as finding your why and about goals. So basically turning whatever it is that you want within your heart, you're turning your dreams into a goal within that moment. All right. So, and within that, so find your why, write down all your reasons why you want that dream, why you want to make it a goal, and then share it with people. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is about finding a coach, finding a mentor, because most of the time people have achieved what you want to achieve. So model people who have achieved that level and reach out to them, be brave, ask for help. So you need to find people that will give you that guiding plan. Step 3 is all about your health, and that's because while it's important to set our intentions, set our dreams, you need to make sure that our health is there. So health, I don't think, could be step 1, because step number 1 is about coming from your heart anyway. So step number 1, and then health being step number 3. Just make sure as you're coming through that you are treating your body well. And I didn't talk a whole lot about this before, but make sure you're eating right. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, because all of these things matter as well. You're not going to be able to go at it with the full passion, energy that you want in chasing your dreams if you're not looking after your health. Step 4 is wholeheartedly commit to the plan. Trust the process, trust the plan that your coaches, your mentors are giving you in step 2. Be faithful with the small, the big will come, be patient. And step number 5 is monitor your progress, and if things aren't working, be able to pivot and make changes. The most important thing is about achieving your goal. You set the goal, but don't be fixed on the way you get there. Don't be fixed on the path, because for me, the path was Jog, but I found that my health wasn't there and that path was no longer working. So I needed to come back to what was important to me. My dream was to honor my mate and to make a real difference. I can do this by going a separate way. So step number 5 is about that.
Good, man. It's good. I really like it. I want to shoot off maybe 2 more questions. Yeah. And I think this one, you could tie back to your formula maybe, but for someone that's wanting to start running, 3 top tips or bits of advice that you would give to that person.
Yeah, so be prepared to start slow. Start as slow as you want. It doesn't matter about running fast, especially if you're talking distance. Just be out on your feet and break it down. I think the biggest thing for me through the 50 marathons and what I'll be like next year with the Run Around Australia, you have to break it down into smaller steps. So when I'm running, when I'm in pain or struggling, I'm looking at the next tree 500 meters away and think, let's just get to there, and then I'll reassess. Then let's get to the park bench. Then let's get to, and it helps you mentally break down what you're about and why you're doing what you're doing. And so I guess the biggest 3 steps would be start slow, be prepared, be willing to reach out and ask people for help. If anyone needs help, I'd love to help them. And also, just break down the process into smaller steps along the way.
Yeah, I think that's great. And yeah, where can people find you? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people listening that would love to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, Sean Bell, Facebook, Sean Bell. That's my personal one, or Run for Wishes on Facebook and Instagram as well. That one we've just started out. So super excited for this year, the development phase for next year. I won't be able to achieve this Run Around Australia next year if my priority this year isn't all about the Run for Wishes. So, I'm very thankful for you guys getting me on here today, because one thing that I say to people is, whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, do something that takes you closer to it every single day. Even if it's as small as jumping on a podcast and letting more people know about your vision and what you're trying to do, or it's going for a run, or it's even having a rest day when your body needs it and listening to it. Whatever it is, make sure you do something every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, because you're going to get there quicker and you're going to be more fulfilled along the way as well. And at the end of the day, it's all about the journey.
What a journey. What a journey. So you're on the plane over to UPW. You're in a dark place, a time where you're just a bit lost within yourself. Yeah. Everything that you've achieved, everything that you learned, the resilience that you've built, what's the one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
In that moment going...
Yeah, so you've experienced everything that you've experienced now. Take yourself back to that plane ride over.
Oh, that's a great question. I think the one piece I would give is be willing to be different and embrace being uncommon. I think so many times people try and conform and fit in, and I was no different growing up. I was trying to fit in with mates, and I think when you're prepared to just follow your heart, do what you love, then you're going to find your own crowd anyway. People will become inspired. They want to, if people see you relentlessly chasing your dreams, they're going to chase theirs themselves. And so be prepared to be uncommon, be prepared to be uncomfortable, put yourself out there, and it's amazing how you can impact people when you just follow your heart and do that. One last story I want to share from that is, during the 50 marathons, people achieve personal best every single day. And there was one of my good friends, she ran her furthest, which was 8 kilometers. She's come from a sprinting background. 8 kilometers on day 12. She progressed. Say she did 12 kilometers on day 15, 16. Then she did 15 Ks, then she did 20. I think it was day 36, she did about 30 Ks. And I said to her, geez, you actually like keeping up with me. You're doing really well. I think that you can do this. I reckon you can run a marathon. And she's like, no, I can't. I'm like, yes, you can. Just do some smaller runs over the next 2 weeks. Take it easy. Freshen up. And day 49 is the last opportunity for people to run with me. I want you to have a crack at running a marathon. So not just her, she achieved it, but 2 other people also achieved their first ever marathon on day 49. Day 49 was arguably the most special day out of all of them. Obviously day 50, the hard work, being able to achieve that. But when you can, I guess, just from following your heart, doing what you love, chasing your own dreams, and you see that rub off into other people, her achieving her own personal best, and what that brought her, the emotions that brought her, was just so special. And I'll never forget that. And that was just a day that I'll cherish forever.
So powerful, man. And chase your dreams today, because not promised tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's it.